Today's show is brought to you by Visit Lauderdale.com.
Hold the Mayo. It's time for Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. Find out what's being served with Mike, Defo and Lubie, the only show that covers food, sports, and the proper maintenance of your car. And now, a man who had the distinction of having an entire health clinic named in his honor, Mike Mayo.
I want the frim flam sauce with the awesome bay with shafafa on the side.
Happy Friday, happy weekend, and happy Lunchbox Hour, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Lunchbox with Mike Mayo. I am Mike Mayo. Did I come in early? Defo was just laughing there because I was not paying attention to the screen at all. Happy Friday.
No, you look great, man.
Oh, no, I don't know
we're all
what's going
excited
on.
for you. We really
Well,
are.
no,
All of Let's Eat South Florida, 88,000 strong. We're all behind you going, Mayo, Mayo, Mayo.
Well, I'm trying to do the link, and you know what happens when I do a little bit of the multitasking. But here we are. We're live on a Friday afternoon, and not so live on a Friday evening if you're part of the radio audience of South Florida, oldiesouthflorida.com. However you ingest the Lunchbox, we are happy that you are here. And Defo, I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy that Lubie's here.
I'm happy to be here.
I'm just happy because you know what, guys? I am seeing the world through rose-colored glasses.
Yeah, we caught that this morning. You still wearing those glasses?
The
You couldn't get a
future's so
couple of
bright.
kaleidoscopic glasses for comedic effect here, but no, that's great. Everything is coming up favorably for you, Mike Mayo. I'm happy to hear this.
Yeah, no, I'm just in a good mood. And not to remind everybody, because this is mainly a food show. I saw there was a little blowback by some of the foodies on here that we talked a lot of sports and football yesterday. But, the original intent of this show was to, have a little bit of food, a little bit of football or sports, a whole lot of fun, and try to mention as little politics as possible. Sometimes Defo just can't help himself. We will.
I really can't hold back. I mean, a certain character, motivate TRUMP.
No,
5
no.
comes up, and
Although, here's a funny thing. I had dinner the other night. My poker buddy Sean.
yeah,
Well, he has another friend of his that we met for dinner. Of all places, at Shenanigans. I've become a Shenanigans regular this week because when somebody's on
reason.
all protein keto diet, that's a great place to go
that
between
works.
those wings, and then they sometimes have the. The barbecue items like those ribs and the chicken and all that stuff. So
ribs were on your diet yesterday. I mean, those were
I
exceptional.
mean, you
to have
slather
later.
in barbecue sauce.
It was very good. The barbecue sauce is not exactly keto friendly because you're supposed to cut back on the sugars. But
Yes.
if you kind of scrape
Slight
off the
smoke
sauce,
flavor, not overdone with the smoke, but
It was
there.
good.
And wow, I mean, just absolutely perfectly cooked. I thought they
excellent
were
ribs.
great.
We again thank Pat Utter and the crew over at Shenanigans Eastside for hosting us yesterday. But the other night, before their poker endeavors, Sean and he had a friend of his named Brandon, and it's just like a odd name to have at this point. Not so odd. I mean, but
Yeah,
because
adult name Brandon's weird. Like
It's
Brandon's
like being Karen. Yeah. the same
well,
thing.
yeah, it's like unfortunate if you are
like-
named a Karen now, and everybody calls you, "Hey, Karen," and it's become a pejorative. In terms of people, it's the people who go out and ask for a manager or complain, or it actually started with the whole people calling up and narking on suspicious characters, and mainly became a racist thing of like middle-aged white women who are suspicious of black people and just would call the cops, and that became the original Karen. Now it's morphed. Karen is morphed into this. I'm sick of the. You know how I love the word amazing because it's completely overused. Well, it's the same thing with Karen now. Karen is completely overused. It's gone past its original meaning and intent. And here you got that Defo is totally off the rails because he hates when I get into my Mr. Word. What William Safire was the old New York.
You do a lot of
Times.
clarifying that I find
I'm a
somewhat
language
unnecessary for radio purposes.
Yeah, I'm a language guy. Linguistics are important to me. Linguists, yes, I'm a cunning linguist.
That's you.
Great. See, I mean, you took this right into the camera, Mayo.
Sandwiches in your face.
Couldn't help yourself.
seeing the world through rose-colored
You were not exactly seeing a world through rose-colored glasses when you hammered that woman that fainted in that restaurant and then
Okay.
wanted her money back, because you were like F. Lee Bailey in your scrutinization
Wait.
of her comments.
There's a reason for this, Defo, and this is now a Lunchbox exclusive. And it's amazing how you read my mind and my note sheet of what I am going to be.
Because I know where you're going. I know how your mind works. I
Well-
mean, you're thrilled that you won the Buffalo bet last night. We
He's
don't want
like
to get into sports anymore because some guy that's having a sandwich right now is having a conniption. And but
No,
that was
although
good. And, the whole theory behind the show was, it's a bunch of guys talking about things over lunch.
Right.
Mostly food, but there are other things that come up. But wow, you hammered this woman. You were like, well, so how much of that steak did you eat, Mrs. McGillicuddy, before you passed out and went to the hospital? And should you not have at least paid for half?
So let me give a little synopsis
Mr.
here.
Fung,
One
unbelievable.
of the big posts the other day, earlier this week, on the Let's Eat South Florida group that has over 88,000 members. It was a woman. And again, you got to remember, when people give their version of events at a restaurant of something that happened, how do you know it's exactly what that it unfolded the way
especially since she was having a seizure as she was trying to recall us. Yeah.
I believe on the original show, I was a little bit more,
tough.
understanding, and you, Defo, were the one who's saying people are scam artists. I don't know if this person is telling the truth. You've worked in restaurants and you know the kind of things that people pull. My daughter was telling me all kinds of stories about things that people would pull to get free stuff, or complaints, lodging complaints, putting stuff in food, all that kind of stuff. And look, I don't put it past people to try to pull some fast ones, but when it comes to like medical stuff and medical emergencies, and if an ambulance is actually called, you tend to, give the benefit of the doubt to the person telling the story. However,
no, don't tell me she faked a seizure.
This is why
got in the ambulance just to beat a check.
I'm not saying this. All I'm saying is that, you know how I actually am friends, and here I'm going to take off my rose-colored glasses because now we're going.
This isn't a pretty picture you painted, and let's eat South Florida.
The darker side of human events. So,
the cross-examination of Mark Furman was not as acute.
I started asking some questions
Yeah.
of the woman after I got a response from the restaurant. Now, again, one of the part owners of the restaurant is a college buddy of mine who doesn't live here in South Florida, but he and another friend of mine are partners in several South Florida restaurant ventures, including this restaurant in Delray Beach that I'm not even going to name here. But the bottom line is the management of the restaurant looked into they saw the post because I sent them the link, and then they investigated because it sounded pretty untoward in terms of how the restaurant staff behaved. If the woman was actually having a medical emergency and they disregarded her, or the first thing they were thinking, here's your check. So I got a response.
Hoping the paramedics had it.
And then there was a couple. And this post in Let's Eat had about 400 comments, and everybody, of course, is weighing in with their opinions, even though they know nothing about the facts of the situation. And the interesting theory, a lot of people thought, who had worked in restaurants, is that maybe the restaurant would hold the server, waiter responsible if somebody left without paying, and even if it was an ambulance, maybe it was an inexperienced waitress who thought they were going to get stuck in having to deduct the check from their paycheck. But everybody's speculating without really knowing. Anyway, I finally hear back from the restaurant. They presented me a version of events that was completely at odds with what the woman said.
Oh, wow.
And
what a surprise.
And they haven't given me the go-ahead yet to post their full response on Let's Eat. But let me just put it this way. Well, first of all, suspicions were raised on my part when I looked through all the comments, and this woman had put on the post a picture of the entree, this Palomino steak.
It was heavy.
That the way she portrayed the events was that they got their appetizers, and then the entrees came out, but they were still eating their appetizers, but that she had the seizure like right in the middle of the appetizer. And she says that the whole thing, that they were there no more than 20 minutes when she had this medical episode. Well, the version of events put forward by the restaurant was that they were there for it was almost an hour and a half.
Yeah.
They came in, again, this is the restaurant's version of events, which is pieced together from interviews with their staff, with reviewing their videotape, and with the actual physical evidence which they sent me, which was the bill and the receipt that this couple entered at 7:32 p.m. They ordered and received their appetizer at 7:46 and main courses at 7:56. The account was that the gentleman ate his full entree.
Oh,
The woman ate half of her entree. That the woman asked to box up the remainder of her entree to take home. And that when the waitress came back with the box and the check, that the woman was on the floor in some sort of distress. And the waitress asked, "Are you okay? Can I call you an ambulance?" And the woman, the patron, allegedly, according to the restaurant, declined the offer of medical assistance and just was sitting there for a while. And then when that was happening and they'd already eaten and they already brought the check and they were boxing up stuff, they presented the check to the husband, and then he basically left the check with a pretty chintzy tip. They sent the tip. It was a $10 tip on a $97 tab.
Cheapskate.
Um,
That's known as a
and-
cheapskate.
and
Mayo.
and then when after she ran the tab, and again the woman is still sitting on the floor,
So
and then
they-
the manager got involved, and basically the manager insisted, it's like, "I think we need to call you an ambulance. Let us call you an ambulance." And again, restaurant's version is that they called 911. The EMTs arrived. And they took her. She finally acquiesced and said, "Okay," and she went off to the hospital. But this was not like it happened right after they ordered or that right after they got all their food. That this was a fully eaten and enjoyed and consumed meal, and that the check had already been presented when she was basically when she had this medical emergency and initially declined treatment or assistance, but then the restaurant insisted, I guess, also because it's the proper thing to do. So now we have completely two at odds versions of events. One, the patron saying this restaurant was insensitive
That
and
sounds like a lot of garbage.
uncaring, and the second from the restaurant saying we would never like that, and we don't have a policy of forcing our servers to pay for people who beat the checks, or if there's a situation like this, it would never come out of the service. And basically they were saying they didn't get presented with the check after the medical emergency started. They were presented with the check after they basically finished their meals, and then she was on the floor, and then the next thing happened. So everybody can draw their own conclusions. And I think people also need to realize on social media, look, Let's Eat South Florida is a group on Facebook. Facebook doesn't consider itself a publisher. The Let's Eat group is kind of overseen and run by me and the people at the Sun Sentinel, but we're not the publishers and we're not responsible for editing content. We just approve posts or not. So the legal thing is, if this woman kind of disparaged or told things that's untrue, could that be considered defamatory? Because when you post something like this on a group of 88,000, and you can see in the comments section, "Oh, that restaurant is terrible. I'll never go there. I'll never."
Did she
go
name
there
the joint
again."
in the
Yeah.
post? Okay.
Yeah, she did.
All right.
So again, and people need to realize that when they post things on social media, if things are not factually accurate, that's one thing. But if you're deliberately maybe saying things that are not completely true and that could be considered harmful to a business, the person who posts could be at legal peril. It's uncommon, but this is an interesting situation, and I'm waiting to hear back from the restaurant to see how they want to proceed. I have not pulled down the post, but it's I don't know. It's just an interesting thing, and it reminds you that all these things you see on Yelp about, "Oh, we had to wait an hour for our entrees after our appetizer." People exaggerate. They don't have stopwatches running.
Yes.
The restaurants do. They have video cameras, and they have a kind of detailed computer system that shows you when things were punched into the system, when things were, brought, when the check was presented, when the credit card was swiped. So again, make sure you have your ducks in a row before you go trashing a place, I guess, is the bottom line.
Well, you were ready to bring this woman up on charges. It was great, and would have been very effective. Did your mother always tell you should have been an attorney before you became a sports writer? I mean, going to Tufts and the London School of Finance, probably you were urged to go in that direction, and you would have made a good one. The way you completely eliminated any credibility that this woman had with her story. It was great.
I
Under
didn't.
those
I don't
circumstances, I don't think there's really any debate. I mean, the guy should have paid the check. Probably should have given a bigger tip because the people were, being so considerate about trying to take care of his wife. And maybe he was in a panic, something was going on. But the restaurant perfectly justified. One of the worst things that can happen. A friend of mine had a post on social media, not on Let's Eat South Florida. She kind of runs this place, and she had a guy sit at the end of the bar for a couple of hours and walk out on a check. And it is one of those places where the help is accountable, which a lot of people would think, well, geez, that seems radically unfair. Some bartender can't watch everything that's going on, and a guy looks like he went to the bathroom. Meanwhile, he's on his motorcycle on his way down Oakland Park Boulevard, and he hasn't paid the check. Shouldn't the restaurant be in a better position to eat that money than the server? Others would think, well, geez, if you make the server responsible, it's less likely to happen, which is possibly true also. But that's a terrible thing to do to somebody. I mean, there are people that are going to do it, but to think about it, this poor person is actually working their fanny off all day in a place, serving and trying to make everybody happy. And then, you get one idiot in there and it costs her whole day's pay. It's insane.
And this place was interesting because they said that they don't have a policy of taking it out on the server, partly because, if they would deduct the full amount of the check from them, that's not really fair because the food cost is only about 30 to 35% of a check. So that, if a place is going to do that,
they didn't lose all
out
that
on
money.
The server. Yeah. If somebody beats you out of $100 check, really the establishment is really only losing $30 to $35 worth of food. So if you're going to deduct anything from a server, make it $30 to $35 is maybe more fair. And in a real world, they should just, I don't know, they should eat it. It's the cost of doing business. It's just like, the credit card companies know that sometimes people are going to stiff them and be deadbeats, and they build that into the cost of the interest. So I don't know. I mean, but it seems
unfair. I mean, you can't necessarily keep track of everything. I haven't been a waiter in many places, and that policy was in place, at some of the places I worked. Look, you're not expecting it. You're not anticipating that people are going out to dinner and they've been very friendly with you through the whole service and everybody was complimentary and they were all very happy. You're not expecting them to walk out and leave you stuck with their $150 tab. But no. And I don't know that the person should be responsible for it necessarily. I would think not, that the restaurant was in a better position to eat it. Like you said, their cost isn't the complete total there that was on the check. I guess
that this is, again, possibly why restaurants would sock it to the server. Maybe they're afraid of collusion, that the server is going to invite friends in to come in and just like
walk out,
check, and then they know that, oh, the server's not going to pay for it, it's going to be the restaurant. So hey, our friend, our buddy Scott is working tables here, let's go here and just chew and screw, and the restaurant eats it, not Scott. Now again, there's so many. Isn't it terrible that we have to think of all these angles because people are basically
criminals. People are criminals and they have no respect. Well, when I was a vendor at Shea, started at 14, you were responsible for all the inventory that you took out of the distribution point. So in other words, if you had 100 yearbooks and they were 50 cents a piece, if you didn't come back with the $50, say you only had 40, you had to eat the 10. So you were very careful about the way that you handled the money in that respect. And it was very possible also to have people steal stuff from you, where, you had a souvenir stand and you're making them change over on the right side. And somebody grabbed something off the stand on the left because you didn't have enough of a cushion in terms of the barricade that was keeping them away. And you had to eat it. So, it's a rough policy. And I don't know that it's always applicable in restaurant situations. But this sounds like a total farce. Where the lady told a completely, fabricated story by comparison to what actually happened. And it's a shame.
I don't want to say it
should lose customers as a result if they do.
Right. I don't want to say it's completely fabricated, because she did end up going to the hospital. Yeah. I don't know if she's that. And I don't know exactly what this condition was. And I asked her, did it have anything to do with the meal of the restaurant? And what I was able to get from her answer was that no, that it's some sort of previously existing condition dealt with before, and that she, she says she had to spend a week in the hospital for this latest thing, but it had nothing to do with the food or anything at the restaurant, which is good because we don't allow any kind of allegations of food poisoning or anything like that on the Let's Eat group, because that's for the business of, if you got a complaint or think you've gotten any kind of food poisoning, you call up the health department, you call up the state inspectors, you lodge a formal complaint. That's the
Call
the
Cohen
avenue
and
you
Cohen,
take them.
right? I mean,
Yes. Usually you could find them at the poker tables at the Hard Rock. Both of those brothers are hardcore.
but they got enough money. They've been advertising. They were the first. They were the pioneers in that whole personal
Jesus
injury game.
Christ,
Yeah.
They were
So,
way ahead of their time on that.
Yeah, it's interesting. And it's just it's a reminder. If your mother tells you she loves you, check it out. That's the oldest journalism thing, so you always have to have that BS detector on. And whenever somebody puts up this outrageous story at a restaurant, you got to remember there's two sides to every story. And I don't know if the restaurant's version is 100% true or accurate. There's usually one side, the other side, and the truth lies somewhere in between. But based on what I saw from actual evidence, which was the receipt, which they sent to me, they were there for almost 90 minutes. And so
if they ate the meal and were ready to box it up,
Yeah, you paid for it.
all right, maybe there's a little panic going on. A guy wasn't in his right mind, but wouldn't you say, hey, let me take care of this check?
Yeah.
and I'll take care of my wife.
Look,
Yeah,
my
I
thing
mean,
is,
you were in a store. I mean, you're walking out with essentially like walking into a store and walking out with product. You should volunteer to pay for it. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think-
know that it should have been an issue where they were offended by the fact that there was a check presentation.
Right. Just people are strange. And now you got to take everything with a huge grain of salt. And that
You know what
have.
I'm looking at? This one, I don't know if you've taken advantage of this, but I mean, the whole idea of going to one of these retirement dinners that are always being held at like really nice places like the Capitol Grill or Ruth's Chris.
Tropical Acres.
When you see a picture, when you see a picture of the steak, are you not tempted to go, even if you have no money to talk about, retiring with? I mean, is it worth it? This was a chapter in my book.
You're talking about that. I keep getting those every other week. Like
every day
Invest
you
with
get one,
Us.
and it's a chapter in my book, Timeshare in Hell, because is
I
it
know
worth it to
exactly
get
what
the
you're
free
talking
trip to Las Vegas, to look at a timeshare, which you're never going to purchase? We found out that was like the worst, investment you could ever make. And then there was a whole big thing where there was a campaign on to unload timeshares that you can legally get out of this if you find the right lawyer. But are you tempted to go? I mean, because you're thinking, all right, so I'd be eating dinner anyway. So if I have to listen to some schlep pitch me on the idea of investing in his financial wizardry, is it worth it to eat at like Ruth's Chris? I mean, are you tempted to take advantage of some of these things? Because the dinners always look great and they're always in good places.
I have gotten several of these mailers in the last few months, and like you say, it's usually at those high-end steakhouses.
Always looks great.
Judging by the latest feedback on Let's Eat, it seems like Ruth's Chris locally in Fort Lauderdale and even the Capitol Grill have been taking it on the chin in terms of service and quality. People have been really kind of bashing them. And I met the I forget it was the chef or general manager at the Capitol Grill here at the Galleria. Really nice guy, friendly with my friend Hui over at Kaizen. I met him at the sushi bar Kaizen. He invited me in one night. But I do know, and it happens to be true, that it's a chain that's owned by one of these major restaurant corporations. And they've kind of started cutting corners. The Capitol Grill used to be known for only serving prime USDA prime steaks, which is the highest grade, and it's more expensive. Well, now it turns out they don't serve prime beef anymore. They've gone down to some of
kangaroo. What are they serving?
No, some of the steaks they serve, it's still good. It's the Angus, it's the certified Angus beef, but it's kind of a notch below the prime. But that's what they're serving at Capitol Grill now.
It's a bad direction to go in, I think.
So
very bad.
and again, when you've established yourself as kind of a luxury brand with only the finest product, and you start doing that, and it's kind of not, obviously they're not advertising that, but people start noticing can
you tell the difference? Like if you went in there, would you know right away that this was not the prime grade? This was like Black Angus or whatever that is.
Marbling, the fat content on the prime is higher. It's a kind of a better marbled steaks, and you could tell better flavor. It's not necessarily, in actuality, the certified Angus can be every bit as juicy, but just or as tender. It could be just as tender. But the prime steaks have a little bit more fat. Fat equals flavor. So the answer is yes. I think I can tell. We can do a contest one day. give me different cuts of quality cuts of meat and see if I could do it in a blind
We'll have to
taste
go to the
test.
butcher shop, Tropical Acres, and see if you can identify them when they're cooked up with a blindfold.
I mean,
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
put
So-
listen to a show and do it live.
Because
on
I don't know that I would know the difference. I mean, the thing
I-
when I go to Capitol Grill that always impresses me is they have this giant plate, and the steaks are good size, no question. I mean, the cuts are very reasonable. The prices are high, but it comes with absolutely nothing else. The plate is stark. It doesn't even have like a piece of parsley on it.
One parsley,
Nothing.
one
Like,
piece.
It just looks weird to me. I don't know. I mean, if you're going to bring a side of mashed potatoes, just throw it on a plate so it looks like you're eating dinner at home. But
Hey, that's a perfect segue into our first live spot of the day, because that won't
Beautiful.
happen to you at Tropical Acres.
Oh,
yeah,
the side dish.
throw some
We
hash
love-
browns on there, something.
Exactly.
Well, because at Tropical Acres, every entree comes with a side dish and a salad included. Not a la carte, those three dirty words. But you get great value at Tropical Acres, 2500 Griffin Road, just west of I-95 and the Fort Lauderdale Airport. It's been around for more than 70 years, 73 years, I think, older than Defo. That means they're doing something right. The Studiali family, they are just terrific. They'll take great care of you. They're known for their hospitality. Oh, and there comes this thunderstorm rolling in. I don't know if you heard the lightning. No,
I hope you did.
can't
I
hear
want the life
lightning.
already. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Good thing I got that in. I hope that we stay on the. You never know, the Florida plunder and loot people. You
Don't
never
worry
know if
about it.
the
I
water's
mean,
out there.
it used to
Keep
be
going.
if there was a drop of precipitation, everything shut down. Like it'd be
Yeah.
at the track and all the screens would go dead.
Yep.
But, and that was a horrifying experience. But I think we're stabilized,
good.
a little bit more stabilized.
So Tropical Acres is open every day but Sunday, and the butcher shop is open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday. So you could pick up some of those great steaks, the filet mignons. You could cook on your own at home. They also sell some of their side dishes, like that great cream spinach and their key lime pie, that house-made key lime pie. You could pick up, have it at home for a nice family dinner. Better yet, go in there when they open up at 4:30. 4:30 is the early bird hour. You get all kinds of extras, including soup, dessert, and coffee or tea included with that already great package deal. And then happy hour in the bar is the first 2 hours, all kinds of good half-price deals on drinks and some great special appetizers. Tropical Acres is one of my favorite spots for a big celebration or just everyday dining. Go see Tropical Acres. Tell them that the Lunchbox sent you.
Our friend Scott on the chat line says they're going to charge you $5 for the garnish.
That's at Capitol
Capitol
Grill,
Grill.
not at Tropical Acres.
All right, we're coming back with more. Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, always a guest. Had a great time yesterday at Shenanigans. Hope you guys got that show. That's in the archives. And wow, I mean, everything was dynamite that came out of the kitchen there. And we have a lot more to discuss here as we get into the weekend on Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. Back in a moment.
Pizza? Who doesn't like pizza? Well, my spot for pizza is the Pizza Spot. It's in that little bit hard to find Riverside Park neighborhood of Fort Lauderdale, but it's totally easy to love. It's at 601 Southwest 12th Avenue, New Haven style a pizza from Wade and Reese. It's a lovely outdoor spot. You could also pick up pies to go at 754-779-7788, 754-779-7788. Again, they're open every day but Monday for lunch and dinner. Some of the best pizza I've ever had. Go to Pizza Spot. They also have subs, salads, and more. Tell them the Gambling Gourmet sent you. If you like seafood in a comfortable setting, outdoors, even keel fish shack at the corner of A1A and Commercial Boulevard in Lauderdale by the Sea, that's my spot. It's upscale food in a down-home setting. The chef owners, Dave and Brad, do a terrific job with all the seafood classics that you want. They have the best grilled oysters in town, bang bang shrimp, lobster rolls, and deli fish specials. They also have weekend brunch Saturday and Sunday. They have deli happy hour 4 to 7, and they also have other weekly specials like mussels on Monday and oysters on Tuesday. Go to Even Keel Fish Shack and tell them that the Lunchbox sent you. And we're back on the Lunchbox, a Friday pre-weekend edition. And we were talking about those timeshare and retirement presentations. So to answer your question, Defo, no, I wouldn't. It's not worth it for me to even just sit there to get my steak at Ruth's Chris or Capitol Grill. One, because I'd rather just go to Tropical Acres. No, B, well, I mean,
This one happened to be an ad to go have a free meal at Runyon's, a very
Oh,
popular
Runyon's
place.
is great.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
Very
Runyon's
nice
is
place.
great.
And
you know
they
what?
were in one of those contests, and they had like, I think they had the winning entry. That one that we did in Delray at the tennis center. Didn't
Right,
Runyon's
yeah,
have
the meatballs. They were at the
a
meatball
post
night.
there? Yeah, that was good.
Nice. They do a solid job. Also, family-run operation. So,
I mean, do you have
but
to pay attention, or is it a separate lecture?
So
Did they talk to you?
here's
while you're
what I've
eating? What's the
learned.
deal?
Here's what I've learned. This was a lesson that it wasn't. Again, it was a matter of inconvenience. When I was married, the lovely Michelle and I, when we were in the Keys, or we took advantage of one of these. It was like a
Okay.
night in the Keys to get through one, and it was just such. You just feel beholden, and then you have to go and sit through the 90 minutes. It just feels like it's just not worth it. Like there are certain things where and just sitting there, you just feel like such a schlemiel, like such a cheapskate, because it's like, was it really worth it? I'd rather just spend my own money and be a free person for the entire time and not be held captive. And it's the same way with a dinner. I'd rather just pay my own way for a dinner. And I don't want to hear their retirement spiel. So the answer is no, I'm not taking up any of these free steak dinner offers.
I figured Michelle dragged you to one of these, and it was a dinner, a retirement planning dinner, because she knew that you were completely reckless with money, being a degenerate sicko gambler, as evidenced by your just zeal over the Buffalo Bills line being a phony line at
It's a sucker line.
-2 and a hook.
You were the
And
suckers.
she wanted you to go, and it was worth going through all of the details, and not necessarily just for the free meal, but that you really needed to absorb some of this. Which would have been, I mean,
I put
not
some-
unusual to think that, if you were,
I
would
was
imagine
responsible in my retirement planning. I didn't realize that my retirement was going to begin at age 55, but that's
I knew I was going to be broke in my retirement, because that's kind of the way I live my whole life. So
well, then you've
no different. Yeah.
had a lot of practice and you're
Yeah.
used to it. It's a lot easier that way.
Much easier with no money, then you don't have to worry about money. You just don't have any.
So
It's a lot better.
anyway, hey, I want to just get back to this. So to get back to this whole sad situation, because I do want to bring up a couple more points that the restaurant made. They sent me this very detailed thing. So it said it was an hour and 20
That was like
minutes.
the Zapruder film they put together.
An hour and 20 minutes after their arrival that the check was printed and presented. And then basically she said that this is, again, from the restaurant management, said, this is not the first time this couple has done this at our
Oh,
restaurant.
no.
There you
You
go.
got to be kidding me.
Number two.
There you go. See, you should have brought that up right at the beginning. There's the whole case right there.
That's my
The
thing.
gavel
That's
comes
why
down.
I believe their story better, because the woman's story seemed like the woman who complained about Texas Roadhouse, and then the other people that complained about the Tropical Acres. Like, it was very generic complaints that made zero sense.
Right.
And
right.
when you've been to these places, you're like, yeah, there's no way that would happen. So you're honing in on something just to make them look bad, and you're full of it. The woman's story didn't make any sense. And when you bring the restaurant story, it made perfect sense. So that's why
Right. They pull that off in the same place?
what a stupid.
I don't know. I mean, again, this is from the restaurant. Now,
That takes some nerve. That really does.
That's why they don't want the ambulance,
A
'cause they're gonna
second
be
seizure.
as Michelle used to pronounce it, that takes some chutzpah.
Chutzpah, no question about it. Yeah.
That's the Ohio pronunciation. What's
But
chutzpah?
imagine, I mean, you're a restaurant. You've already dealt with this. I mean, first of all, the people should be banned. As soon as they walked in, or if they recognize their name as a reservation, I would say, hey, listen, you know what? Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to accommodate you tonight. That's it. I mean,
So
what
let
is scam? Yeah.
me just a few more points that the restaurant made is that, as you can imagine, we've had many legitimate emergencies that have taken place at our restaurant over the past 19 years that we've been in business, and never have we or any employee ever presented or requested payment in the midst of an emergency or crisis. Our concern is always for the well-being of the guest. And blah, blah, blah. Our philosophy is to have people return, serving quality food. It's unfortunate that a few bad apples would try to besmirch us by fabricating such an untruth.
They went to besmirch. That makes it really
that's
painful.
good. And lastly, this is from the restaurant again. There was never any attempt to contact any person in a management position to express their feelings or thoughts after this incident. One should ask them why.
Because they were, scamming their way out of the restaurant there,
They wouldn't have
trying
to
to
pay.
skate on a check.
And
Hey,
this
there was
restaurant-
another one. Go ahead, Louie.
No, I was gonna say this restaurant's actually too good. They pissed them off because they were trying to go.
Yeah.
I don't feel good. Okay, well, we'll just let you go feel better later. And they're like, no, we're gonna make sure you get an ambulance. They're like, oh shoot, I don't want an ambulance. That's too
She
great.
also she had a rubber roach in her purse. They found a rubber roach when they went through her purses. They tried to put it back together after she fell on the floor.
And the other unfortunate thing is these bad apples make it worse for people who are like honest people. Because like one time it happened at this local place that had first opened that everybody loves to go to. I'm not going to name it either, but they're known for having like these $5 lunch specials. Now it's up to $5.99. There's several locations. There's one in Dania, but the first time I went, they're also known for having three for one drinks. And on my first drink, I ordered a Bloody Mary and it had olives in it. And when I took out the toothpick with the olives and went to eat it, I saw there was this full-length hair wrapped around one of the olives.
It's a turnoff.
And it was a big turnoff. And it could not have been my hair because my hair is a little bit shorter. But it was like completely wrapped. And I understand hair happens. That's one of the things when you go out to eat. It's not, it's a little bit gross. Asking for a freebie. I was just asking for and as soon as I showed it to the waitress, she got defensive. First of all, her first response was, "It's not my hair." I was like, "I didn't say it was your hair."
It's a poor approach. Yeah.
And then number two, I was like, "I'm just pointing it out." And then she was like, immediately, like I could tell she was basically accusing me of putting the hair.
Which I would look at you and I wouldn't put it past you, but it's obvious that wasn't the case there. And what are you gonna do? So they didn't take the drink off your check there? They counted it as one of your drinks?
I didn't want it off the check. I just wanted a new drink with that hairless drink. Most
people would immediately accommodate you there. No problem.
Yeah. And she did eventually. And again, it was 3 for 1, but I only ended up drinking 2 of the drinks because and again, those types of places, I guess, attract those types of people that are trying to pull fast ones because it's basically a place for cheapies. It's for cheapskates. The food wasn't very good.
There's nothing wrong with seeking out a bargain. I mean, I believe the place you're talking about, it sounds like Flanagan's. And
no. It's called Ocean One. Ocean One. They have
one
in Delray Beach. They have one in. It opened up.
What a response from the help there. I mean, she should have immediately just said, "No problem, I'll take care of it." And that would be the way to go.
Yeah. That was pre-COVID too.
Anytime. I mean, a hair is not a particularly appetizing thing to find in your meal, especially as you're starting out with your first drink. So, should have just immediately made the switch. But if they weren't willing to do that, I don't know. I mean, to accuse you of actually planting this thing. I mean, but I don't know that it relates to being a cheapskate. What's wrong? You got a lunch for $5 that I'm assuming was pretty good. And
no,
3
it wasn't.
Drinks
it was
at a
pretty
price
mediocre.
Of 1. So, all right. But I mean, maybe that's all you expected to get for this kind of price. And that was going to satisfy you. But
it was a one and done.
Nothing wrong with doing that. Nothing wrong with seeking out the bargain.
I understand people. I understand people go to this place and they love it. And again, there's like 3 locations now, and they all do gangbusters business. But
I got another complaint for you off of Let's Eat South Florida.
Well, I've got one too, but you go ahead first.
Okay. It was a guy, and this. I mean, it would be. I guess especially after the whole COVID thing, but I feel like we're past that. Even though people are still getting it and they're putting shots out there, it doesn't seem like restaurants are operating with the severity and restrictions. Obviously, they were closed down for God's sake, for people coming inside. So, it seems like things are in that sense, you could consider them back to normal. All right, now menus, and pricing may have changed, but this guy got whacked for an extra $1.
This was on my list.
Wasn't represented on the menu. The salad was $15.95, and they charged him $16.95. And that's an interesting one because, and he said that he normally wouldn't care, and that the person he was with was like, "Hey, don't make a big deal, just pay the $1. It's only $1. I understand that." But, in principle,
look, Defo. What's the point of having a menu?
Yeah, I mean, if it's $15.95 on a menu, I don't see how, unless you had a sign somewhere that like, our menu prices have changed and we haven't had a chance to redo them, you better check with your server to see what this is actually going to cost you. I don't see how they, could stick it to the guy for the extra $1. I really don't.
I'm glad you brought this up because this was on my list of one of the 3 big posts that was worthy of discussion. That generated a lot of discussion. The whole point of having a printed menu with prices is so that people know how much the food that they're ordering is going to cost them.
It should be market price.
When it becomes variable now. obviously we live in these strange times, inflationary times, COVID times. So you will notice now at a lot of restaurants, particularly chain restaurants, that in the fine print it says prices are subject to change without notice or something like to that effect. It usually also, the unwritten thing is prices are subject to change without notice and never downward. So it's
Well, and also
yeah.
and not after you ordered,
Not but to me, this is the key. Okay, because the restaurant excuse is, oh, well, if we're going to have these printed menus, sometimes it takes time to revise the menus and get them printed with the new pricing. And, one of the solutions is just put a sticker over some of them. And I've seen the stickers with the new
Yep.
pricing over menus, which is a pain in the butt, but you want to relay accurate information to your guests. The other thing is communication. Communicate. This is the big shortfalling of restaurants. And this is where most complaints of customers come in, is when they get hit with something, some surprise charge or something that is different price than what's stated. How hard is it for when the server first comes to the table and say, I know we have these prices on the menu. Unfortunately, because of some of the supply chain issues, we've had to raise some of the prices on some of the items. Let me know, and basically, if something that is one of those items is ordered, the server should communicate right off the bat upon ordering, hey, you know what? That actually is one of those items that's a little more expensive. Is that okay?
Either way, it's going to cost you another $1.
And this is
That's all the
about,
guy had to say.
This is all about good training. Like most proper good restaurants, like the Catherine and our friends at all these Visit Lauderdale restaurants, they have what they know as team meetings before every service, where they go over things. They say, hey guys, we're 86 on this today. I didn't like the way the tomatoes came, so we're not doing the tomato burrata salad. And
be careful
Hill
out
Street Blues, be careful. Same thing. Good restaurants have team meetings before service, and they'll say, hey, by the way, the burger and the chicken wings, we had to add an extra $1 because the supplier bumped it up. So just tell the guests when they're ordering that the menu price is inaccurate. It's actually blank, $16.95. You communicate that up front, and then the customer says, you know what, I'm just going to go for the fish. Is the fish the same price? It's and they'll say, yeah, that's what's listed on the menus. And prizes, and nobody is ticked off at the end of the meal. Communicate. And then you take away half of these issues. But in the case of this person, I mean, I agree. If they weren't notified and it says $15.95 on principle, I would be pretty ticked. And I would. That's a post I thought was a legitimate post and a legitimate gripe.
I think the guy had legitimate, pardon the pun, beef on that, and I don't know that it. He seemed like a reasonable person as he made the post in saying that look, it wasn't $1. It's just that if it says $15.95, how do you possibly just make it $16.95 arbitrarily without, as you said, informing me? And it should have been as he ordered. Now it's possible. I don't know. Did the server not know that the prices had been juiced by $1 on certain items? Should have been aware of that. That's just good management. Yeah, I thought the guy had a legitimate complaint. If it says $15.95 on the menu, they could have done what I used to do with my report card when I changed all those 5s to 6s and 6s to 8s. And just, it always looks ugly when you see ink going over the price on a menu.
You got the Trump Sharpie out,
sloppy,
right?
but that's better than creating this confusion. And then, creating what ends up being, a bad feeling about the place because you feel like you got ripped off, even if it was only for $1.
Right. Hey, see that our friend Tom T chimes in. He says he's lucky because he's small. He's able to print new menus every day before service. It's funny, Tom. You don't look so small to me. No. Did you see he chopped off his hair?
With did you see today? Yeah, no, he looked totally different. This guy.
I
wouldn't
like
recognize him.
Yeah.
It was almost as if he was going witness protection. I mean, he could have moved to Arizona and started eating, noodles with ketchup. Like he was Henry Hill.
I thought he was Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver. I don't know.
But couldn't you have like a substitute paper menu that you could have printed up if there were like 5 items with price changes and just put these items now have new prices? You are talking and handed that out at the table, or put it on the table, whatever, so that people at least you could say, okay, did you check this? This thing was raised by $1. It would make sense, no?
You're applying principles of logic and rationality now, Defo, and there's no place for that.
That's not my game.
South Florida
in general, yeah.
Overall, so no, you're absolutely right. Hey, one other thing I wanted to get to. You see, somebody was griping today about the delivery services, again, not going directly through the restaurant, which is what I always do. I always go and pick up my takeout food. But when you start using DoorDash or Uber Eats or Grubhub these days, people complain that by the time it's said and done, the $12 hot dog comes out to be $30 by the time it's delivered, because they have all these delivery charge and gas surcharge, and then you still have to pay the tip, which the tip for the driver, and so somebody was griping, and it's like, well, what do you expect? Because you're paying for convenience and laziness. You don't want to get up your butt on the couch because you're eating too many gummies and watching too many late night tennis matches.
Why are you looking at me?
People's not using Uber
It's
Eats.
not my MO. I mean, I always go and pick the stuff up. I prefer
No, good. I'm glad, because you know why? Because we're old school and old, and we just believe in, it's like, I don't mind getting my butt up off the couch. It's good for the circulation, and you go and you pick up your Chinese,
and it's ready there. And
It's literally got McDonald's. My wife is
cooked.
She's gotten McDonald's. What's McDonald's? Even now, it's more money. Okay, $8. $20 for McDonald's. I'm like,
from Uber Eats.
Right around.
And this is I mean, not to start this generational warfare, but my daughter is the same thing. She ordered from Chipotle. It's right next to where she lives with her mom.
Could walk home.
She could walk over there and get this bowl for like $9. Instead, she ordered from Uber Eats one night, and it's like, Dad, it was like $20. I was like, what are you complaining about? It's on my credit card, kid. Don't do that anymore. Just take the walk.
You could have hired a cab to take you to the place and pick it up, and it would have been less money.
So look, people live and learn. If you're going to be, and that's the thing, people have gotten so conditioned, and it's like the old adage of, not the adage, it's just like the drug dealer. They give you first taste for free. So all these delivery services, they say, oh, your first your first month, no delivery charge, no this, so you get $5 off every your first 5 orders. They hook you. Next thing you know, it's like people don't even bother to look at what the final tab is and all the ticky tack things that they're adding on until and then they decide, what do? They go on Let's Eat South Florida and make a complaint post, and everybody says, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
To what degree has this reduced restaurants' inclination to actually have their own delivery guy? All of these services, because for example, our man Dave B up the street here has his own delivery guy, and I don't know if he's involved with DoorDash and Uber Eats and all of that stuff. But are you finding, Mike Mayo, in your studies and your travels around various restaurants, that they have kind of eliminated that position or cut down on it because of all these services, even though the delivery used to be free? And so you're giving a guy a $5 when he comes to the door with your pizza, but you're not paying double for the pizza to begin with.
No, what I found is that depending on the restaurant, particularly like local pizza joints and Chinese restaurants, which were traditionally the ones that had their own in-house delivery people,
yes, are
still trying to stick to that. At least in my neighborhood, although one of them has gotten completely rid of delivery overall. They had their own delivery person. He was an older guy, and he no longer works there. But I guess they were having so many problems with people complaining and trying to return things and get money back and saying the pizza is cold. They took the route of, you know what? We're not doing delivery anymore. If you like it, if you want our food, come and get it yourself. Look at it, pay for it, and all sales are final. So that's one way of doing it. My other local Chinese place has this one regular delivery guy, and everybody in the neighborhood knows him, and they know the food is going to get there reasonably fast, on time. They're not.
What's your name in this joint? You should.
That's my Hunan Wok 2. Hunan Wok 2.
Hunan Wok 2.
The beautiful, they're on Dania Beach Boulevard, the beautiful part, right across from the casino at Dania. They deliver to the poker tables at Dania Highland. Dania allows them to come in. So the guy, Wayne,
generate delivery service. Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
Wayne's been delivering to my house for years, and he knows me. And then one night I ordered in from the poker table 7, seat 2. He shows up. Mike, how are you? It's like
Mugu Gai Pan. Is that what you had? The Mugu Gai Pan?
No, I'm not a Mugu Gai Pan guy.
Everybody's accusing you
Singapore
of being a Mugu Gai Pan.
That's Dixteen.
Dixteen likes bringing up because Mayo hates traditional Chinese dishes.
No, it's
that's
not.
Right.
It's
like the chicken chow mein that you finally had, and you thought it was very good. Mr.
Actually, it was very good.
King. Yes,
it's the Americanized Chinese, the Cantonese, New York style, the Mugu Gai.
Was there any other brand of canned chow mein besides Chungking? Did anybody else make it? Was there like a rival brand?
Was that bok?
Could
No,
have been,
bok choy
yeah.
is a vegetable. No, I'm sorry.
Because there was, a couple of, there were a couple of different tuna companies competing, back in the day. But Chun King is the only one I remember with that can, and the noodles came on top with a can that it was like a little sealer that
You
stuck the
love
two cans
those.
together.
You know me, I love my crunch. I love those noodles. Hey, we
Yeah.
got to take a break. But let me say a kind word or two about our friends at Visit Lauderdale. I hope that Nikki is enjoying her cruise, and
You think she
but
really went on a cruise, or she just wanted to
Yes.
dodge the show for a couple of weeks?
absolutely,
Nikki Mohan.
she needed a little R&R. We
All
all
right.
deserve it, and you deserve R&R this weekend too. And there's no better way to relax than by checking out all the great deals going on with the Lauder Deals. You can go get yourself a nice spa treatment or a little staycation at one of the resort hotels. Go to visitlauderdale.com/deals to check out some of those things that are ongoing through the month of September, including Dine Out Lauderdale. And that's if you can check out all the different restaurants taking part at visitlauderdale.com/deals and just click on the Dine Out Lauderdale tab, and you'll see that there's I guess over 50 restaurants in the greater
Wow.
Fort Lauderdale area that are offering these 4-course meals for $35 or $45. Beautiful places all up and down the coast, like 3030 Ocean Restaurant, the Harbor Beach Marriott. That's been a long time place that's done a good job. Canyon Restaurant, the new version, is south of the New River Tunnel. They're taking part. Cafe Max, that's near you there, Defo.
Great spot.
Daryl and
Great
Oliver,
spot.
they have
Yeah.
a great selection of Dine Out Lauderdale menus. And Cooking the Cork is up near Lubie's place up in Coral Springs area. They're taking part, and a lovely couple that runs that place, and they do excellent work. Some of the places along the beach, Dune and Evelyn's at the Four Seasons Resort. Holly Blue is taking part in the Dine Out Lauderdale. And that's
How's your guy doing down there at Holly Blue?
Well, he's no longer working there, but that's
Oh,
okay.
yeah? Okay. Well, he's not
He
doing
was
well
doing,
then, right?
he was doing consulting, but they have some of the great dishes. The pasta with I guess the asabuco pasta has little veal shreds in it. Holly Blue
Still
is in
popular?
that former
I mean,
church.
because
I
it took
guess it's
off
still
rather quickly, didn't it?
Yeah, no, last season they were killing it there. The new Lasso Gaucho Brazilian Steakhouse is on there. We've had some positive reviews, and that's on Sunrise Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale. I think that you get the full churrasco, whatever, the sliced meats carnival. I think they're doing it for $45.
Stay away from the salad bar. Stay away from that.
$45.
Meat
all right,
only.
Again, visit lauderdale.com/deals. Check out all the great ongoing Dine Out Lauderdale deals. And we'll be back to wrap up this edition and this week of the Lunchbox after these words. Come to me and say, Mike, where should I go out to eat? I got guests coming from out of town. Where should we go? Cafe Seville. That's the answer. 2768 East Oakland Park Boulevard. It's a Fort Lauderdale perennial, serving the finest in Spanish and continental cuisine in a cozy, friendly, comfortable setting. Joey Esposito and Sally, his better half, they've been running the place for a long time. It's been open since the 1980s. They got great Spanish classics like paella, shrimp with garlic sauce, and all kinds of great seafood dishes. The stuffed veal chop, that's my favorite. Go to Cafe Seville. It's open every day but Sunday at 5 p.m. for dinner. Tell them that the Lunchbox Mayo and Defo sent you. Do you like burgers? Do you like wings? Do you like late night food and sports on big screen TVs and cold beer and friendly vibe and great people? Then you want to check out Shenanigans. For 30 years, they've been doing a great job. The original location, West Side, 3303 Sheridan Street, just across from TY Park in Hollywood. Then there's the East Side location, 1300 South Federal Highway in Dania Beach. You go to Shenanigans, you get yourself all the good stuff, the fresh fish every day, the blackened grilled wings, and of course, the kitchens are open late in both locations. Go there. Tell them that the Lunchbox Mayo and Defo sent you. From our friends at Visit Lauderdale and Lauder Deals, don't miss Dine Out Lauderdale during August and September in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Dozens of top restaurants are offering amazing 3- and 4-course meals starting at just $35. See all the Dine Out Lauderdale menus from more than 50 participating restaurants online at visitlauderdale.com/deals. More taste sensations are being added daily, so plan your culinary adventure to Greater Fort Lauderdale and get your taste of the good life for less. Dig in now at visitlauderdale.com/deals. For a great place for steaks, seafood, and more, go to Tropical Acres Steakhouse and Butcher Shop. It's at 2500 Griffin Road in Dania, just west of I-95 and the airport. They've been there a long time, since 1949. That means they're doing something right. You'll get old school hospitality from the Studiali family, along with great value, for tremendous service. Of course, you could also go into the bar for happy hour every day, 4 to 6. The early bird special runs from 4:30 to 5:30, and they have great value all night long. Also, a butcher shop that's open every day from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. except Sunday. The dining room is open every day at 4:30 except Sunday. Go to Tropical Acres. Tell them the Lunchbox sent you. Hey, it's Mike Mayo here for Costas Greek Eatery and Pizzeria. If you want to take a trip to the Aegean without getting on a plane and no need for a passport, just go up to 1940 Northeast 49th Street in Pompano Beach, just west of Federal Highway, just a little bit north of Sample Road, and you will be transported to Greece along with a New York-style pizzeria. They do it both so well. They got Greek specialties like gyros and souvlaki and the grape leaves and the spinach pie, and also great New York thin, crisp New York-style Greek pizza with pepperoni. Don't miss that one. And of course, spinach and gorgonzola. Costa is a great guy. He'll smash a plate, say Opa, and greet and treat you like family. Go to Costas. It's open every day for lunch and dinner. Tell him the Lunchbox, Mayo, and Defo. All right, we're back and we got to go. It's done. Another week is gone. Any big plans this weekend, Defo, for eating or fun? Or no?
What do I have? I'm going to go see Amy Schumer at the Hard Rock,
Oh,
which is
good.
freebie tickets that we comped, courtesy of I
Nice.
don't know what gambling endeavors we've been in. And
I would go to the
I'm glad we
bowl.
became the complaint review board here on the show. It was
That's
great
good.
today. Yeah.
Lubie, any big dining on tap this weekend? No,
I got to do some stuff with the house. We're trying to get a new house, so got to put our house on the market. So
All right, good luck with that. I'm gonna have lunch with Norm Kent. Our friend
Nice.
Norm is
Very nice. Say hello
gonna
to
see
Norm,
him at a
please.
burger joint up in Wilton Manors, and then I'm gonna head up to Delray Beach. Gonna have some dinner with Dickstein tonight. That could be trouble, but
there it
it's
goes.
a new Jamaican Caribbean restaurant that's opened up in Delray, and I know the owner. He invited me in to have a little sampling, and looking forward to that. That's I'll give it for a review on
The
Monday.
Devil's Concubine. Steve
That's
Dixon.
it.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for this week. Thanks for tuning in. For Defo, Jeff DeForest, and Mike Lubie Lubitz, I'm Mike Moderation Mayo saying thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend and enjoy every sandwich.